Thokoza. Welcome to Phuthuma at Peace, the place where I try my best to do what it is that I have to do, which is here dealing with our brothers and sisters in the West, being that I live in America and I've been initiated and had to go through what's known as the Thokoza process to becoming a Zulu traditional healer in South Africa. I understand now that very much of my mission here on this particular planet nowadays is having to help us to be able to heal our understandings of one another from continent to continent. Because when it comes down to so many different things dealing with us as a people here in America and with our brothers and sisters, mothers and fathers in our mothers and fathers land of the continent of Africa, as it's called, we have such a disconnect amongst ourselves and we are literally afraid of one another. Even when we look at each other and we can see that we are related, for whatever reason, we got this situation of this inclination towards having a hate towards ourselves that's been built in ourselves. But now, in 2018, where we are right now, all that stuff is dead. That separation is dead. The only illusion that's keeping us from being in inclusion with each other is our perception being literally a mental prison for us. So our job here is to be able to answer any questions that we may have to the best of our ability from our actual perspectives directly. Because yes, I am a Nuwapian, yes, I am a Sangoma, and yes, I am proud. You know, I'm proud to be able to know myself. I'm proud to be able to acknowledge my ancestors. I'm proud to be able to proudly stand in garb that my ancestors have passed down to me as a part of my responsibility for us to help us heal. Healing means whole. So if we're talking about the whole, W-H-O-L-E, talking about the entirety of it all, we are all involved inside of that. So now our job is to find out what our parts are to play within this entire scheme of reality or life as we see it, as we break down the illusions. Thokoza means, or most closely relates to meaning, rejoice. Why would we say rejoice? Why would we say be content? Because we understand that our ancestors literally are existing in all parts of nature, in every aspect of ourselves. We are still connected to our ancestors. While people are talking about quantum physics and the laws of attraction and all these different things now, talking about resonance, and everybody's getting into this mentality of talking about how we're all interconnected and things of that nature. Our ancestors have never gone against that reality. We've always been right there in the midst of it all, using this science from the gate, being that we are a part of it all. You see? So now it's just that remembrance time. Even if you're coming from a perspective of coming from a religious background, like myself, I was born in Augusta, Georgia, raised in Aiken, South Carolina. The CSRA, shout out to my hometown, right? We was raised real religious. My father is a Baptist preacher. So when we start talking about African spirituality and we talk about whether or not our people are afraid, oh no, I know for certain that our people are afraid. For real. It's so scary to the point to where if you come out looking too African in my hometown, right? And don't mess around and be proud about it either. Because if you mess around and you a proud African, then that makes you scary to our own people. Our own people is out here like, oh no, don't look too African. Because you know what happened with us when we too African. If you're too proud to be African, man, that's a problem for us. Inside of us, because we so scared of what that means. But if we do just a little bit of research and then we understand that we got every reason to rejoice, even inside of the Christianity perspective of things, they say, honor your mothers and fathers that your days may be long on the earth, right? So then when you say that you're supposed to honor your mothers and fathers that your days be long on this particular planet, are you telling us that in our African spirituality, for us to say that we continue to honor our ancestors, even beyond their physical transition within this particular body? If we're saying that we know that our ancestors are spiritual beings who have souls, and these particular members of our family have transitioned from this particular life, and we say that we know that these particular beings are spiritual beings who have souls, and then there is a place for us to exist beyond this physical place, then how is what we're saying in Africa any different than what even the Bible ends up telling you about honoring your mothers and fathers? Are those not your ancestors? Then the next question that should come to us should be, how far should we go back? Should we not honor our ancestors from Africa? That would be a little crazy, would it not? If we was to say, I'm not going to honor my ancestry. Every other people on this planet who have a direct correlation with their own culture have absolutely no problem with recognizing their origins. Only when it comes to a particular people that you are familiar with, because you're looking at me and I'm looking at you. Sambonani. Yeah, well, I see you and you see me. And when they see me, I don't fit the description of being afraid of European spirituality in that sense. Because even their concepts of spirituality came from what they had to learn from the original people on the planet. So I can't even be mad with them. I'm not mad with Europeans for being Europeans. What upsets me or makes me disappointed at times, more saddened than anything else, is when you can look people directly in their face, and because of the fact that you are familiar with genetics, You're familiar with lineages, you're familiar with tribes and things of this nature. Now you can look at people and be able to see origins from where they come from, lineages right within them, ancestors right within them. You can see people's ancestors on their face. You can see people's ancestors in their actions. But then if we decide that we don't want to operate within our own spiritual sciences, that means that we want to see ourselves from a lower place of power or even a lower place of value. And that's not beneficial to us mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically. That's not beneficial towards us. That's like you having access to the Wi-Fi code that's inside the house, and you all inside the house, and the Wi-Fi code is there. Everybody else happens to be using high-speed internet, but you sitting in there and you still don't have the code. But all the access is there. But the code is on the inside of us. And it takes us turning inward to be able to activate it. That's how we get beyond the illusion of this outside world, of this fake reality or this matrix around us. In the first place that we do that is within our ancestral acknowledgement. So honoring your mothers and fathers so that your days may be long on this earth goes beyond just your mom and daddy that you know, your grandma and your grandmother. But you start to take that lineage even more seriously, and you start to look towards your mothers and fathers all the way back into yourself. Because you are a culmination of all the experiences that we have had to this point. And you exist beyond just the amount of years that you've been on this particular planet, especially if we say that we are a part of God. If we want to use that particular term that we're familiar with, if God is the term that you use, is the most high force, even though that's not even an original word that comes from any of our original languages, but beyond that fact, right? If that's the term that you use, and that's just where you are able to comprehend that particular reality of this particular grand architect of the universe, the creator of all, the all-powerful, the omniscient, the omnipotent force that is within everything. If that is the reality and that being has always been, then that means that you have always been as a part of that being. How could it be anything other than that? How could you not have existed as a part of the being that is everywhere and has all power? It would be really, really illogical for us to see ourselves as not coming from this origin to begin with. But now for people that want to come in and start coming with religious opinions that's based around, oh, just have faith in the things that you don't see, and then ignore all the things that you do see that are a part of your life just because our local leaders may not have answers for it. So when they don't have answers for certain things, there's so many people who end up just disregarding whatever they said just due to the fact that, oh, if my pastor don't have the answer for it, then that means it ain't no answer. That ain't true. Nah. Especially after you done looked at so many pastors that have abused their positions, so many imams who have abused their position. You know, you got so many priests who have abused the positions of the people and their ignorance. Knowing that they were ignorant to things within the congregation, they will keep you inside of certain levels of ignorance because it's beneficial to the whole of them to keep that particular system going. When you get to the point to where you can start asking questions and not be in an emotional place to where you're asking a question, but you asking the question because you really want to know. Because you're tired of sitting in a place to where you don't know all these things you're experiencing within yourself. Then people make you feel bad about the fact that you're experiencing particular things that even inside of a biblical perspective or a Quranic perspective or a Torah perspective, you're talking about having all these other people have experiences that they're now telling you that you ain't supposed to be able to have for yourself. That's kind of crazy. That's really crazy when you think about it. You telling me that I'm supposed to have faith in the fact that another man like Moses, right? Or another prophet like Isaiah or any of these others, they had these, or Muhammad, all these particular beings end up having these supernatural or extra spiritual encounters by operating, utilizing sciences of priesthoods that was passed down to them for long periods of time. These beings had spiritual experiences, and then they documented them inside of these particular books that end up becoming the law books for everybody to end up following, when it was just supposed to be towards people inside of that region. And those aren't even the original people on the planet. And then they just say, oh, this is supposed to go along with you. And you got to lock this into your mentality so that you can think at the limited amount of intelligence that we want you to be within. An edited dictation system. So like with me growing up with the Holy Bible, right? The version that was created in 1611, not even understanding the point of references to the dates and all those things until my master teacher, Dr. Malachi Z. York, broke all of these things down for me to be able to break those particular mental barriers down for myself, to begin to ask the questions that I needed the answers to for myself. That prepared me for what was coming forward further down in my own experience, so that I will be able to know what is for me, you know, or what goes against my nature. So I'm thankful for us to be able to have an incarnated being amongst us in this day and time. And I'm also thankful for the realization from the Amazulu perspective as well, of understanding that there's nothing strange about our realization of the fact that we have incarnated beings amongst us. Even from a Christian perspective, when they say about being mindful to entertain strangers, because many have entertained angels unaware. How would you be an entertainer of an angel unawareingly if you didn't already have within your precept in your mind that it's possible that angelic beings, meaning angelos from the Latin word meaning messenger, meaning that you have spiritual beings incarnating into physical bodies in order to have messages be passed. Here in America, they'll turn around and say, if somebody says that they are an incarnated being, oh, they're crazy, and now we got to go up against them. Do you know that in South Africa, they had what was known as the Witch Suppression Act in 1957, where literally anybody who, as myself, as a Sangoma, as a practicing traditional healer, if anybody was to come to me saying that they need consultation by way of the spirits and things of this nature, to speak with my ancestor, to speak to them, to give them any consultations and things of this nature, they had laws that would go against us directly, that would put us into prison, just based on the fact that our culture has us to have an awareness of our connection to all nature around us through our ancestors. And then what they'll do is they'll turn around and they'll say that's against everything that they stand for, based on the way that they want it to be ruled by a theocracy, being their spiritual outlook on things is what rules the way that they rule their governmental laws. By belittling the communal laws within our tribes that we already had in operating to make sure that our ancestors were well appeased to, so that we wouldn't have to deal with certain physical responses of us not having an acknowledgement of our ancestors and the needs of our ancestors beyond this physical realm. remembering that we are always connected. Why do you think that people think whenever somebody has a car accident, or we got brothers and sisters over, in the cities and things of that nature who rock with particular gangs and things of this nature, where do you think we get that natural response within our mind to say, oh, somebody had a car accident over here on the side of the street, so what we want to do now as a memorial is we want to go and light candles, do a candlelight vigil, go and light candles at the scene of the accident. Or one of my homies just got killed, so I'm going to pour out a little liquor for them. I'm pouring libations for them. Why is it that based on our soul connection to our ancestors, there's certain things that we do naturally and we don't even understand exactly why we're doing it? But it's a very, very important piece to who and what we are. We are losing concepts of our own spirituality based on the fact that we are fearing the necessity for us to actually be able to be understanding of how we utilize ritual. You can't even spell spiritual without ritual. So how in the world are we thinking that we're going to be spiritual if we're not even willing to operate in ritual? Just another thing to think about. Because our master teacher here in the States even told us that we would have to change our definition of what we see spiritual as. So then when he start putting us in the mind frame of looking at things as spiritual science, and we start talking about things going beyond the element of hydrogen, man, do you understand how we were able to start seeing things scientifically? I don't care how many people out here want to say, oh, Nuwapians are pseudo or whatever term people want to use or whatever. I don't care about that. You think I care that somebody going to tell me, oh, you pseudo-scientific because you're a Sangoma? Bruh. That don't even matter to me. That people here would say, oh, that's pseudo. Why? Just because you don't know? That's the only reason why? And I can't be mad with my people because they looking at me like I'm crazy. They supposed to. We've been taught that way. We've been taught that everything that looked like us for real is actually crazy. Go and look inside of Let's Set the Record Straight, written by Dr. Malachi Z. York. And when he get into the part where he started explaining what is a witch doctor, and then he started talking about the Zulu and our ancestral acknowledgement and the fact that we still never lost that ancestral acknowledgement, it gave us power to be able to have the Haitian Revolution and all the revolts that we ended up having that came up later, based on the fact that we were still able to acknowledge and remember who and what we are. So we need that right now. And it's here. So let's not turn away from what's real, which is us. This love and unity that we need for this, all this stuff going on out here in these streets in America. I was in South Africa and a young brother asked me if I liked it better in South Africa than I like it being in America. And I told him all the stuff that you're seeing on TV or on the internet and all these things about how great America is and all that. I said, are you not also seeing how all this stuff is going on with people getting killed by the police out here? I mean, running in the streets from the police, nothing in their hands, no weapons, no nothing. And they're getting killed by police and things of this nature. You don't think that it's about time that we go ahead and start saying what works for us and what doesn't work for us? Having an awareness of yourself is the first point. And me fighting with you about what you believe or disbelieve or whatever, that ain't helping nobody. I could talk to you about things that you might be aware of or things that you may not be aware of, and I can try my best to help you within that. But you have to make certain decisions for yourself. So here we are. Let the healing begin. Thokoza.